I want to be in old New Hampshire. I want to go. Hello and happy fall in New Hampshire. I'm Ruth Craig. I'm the editor of the New Hampshire Genealogical Record, and I'm here to talk to you about the fall 2021 issue, which is about to come out, volume 33, number 3. I'm actually standing on the border, on the western border of New Hampshire. Vermont is on the other side of the river. That, I don't know if you can see the river at the bottom on Vermont on the other side. I'm about halfway up. I'm in Grafton County, which is about halfway between the Massachusetts border to the south and the Canadian border to the north. So in this fall 2021 issue, we have some really fantastically good articles. One of the articles is it's by George W. Varney, who has made many other contributions to the field of genealogy. And in this case, he has distinguished two New Hampshire soldiers that had the same name. And it was previously thought that they were the same individual. But he has been able to show through very meticulous research that they can't be. For one thing, when they were both in the Revolutionary War and in an overlapping time frame, but they went to different places. So their names were both Jedediah Danforth, and one was from Canterbury and one was from the adjacent town of Boscawen. Now, the one from Canterbury, when he went off to the Revolutionary War, he went to his, you could see on his, the original Revolutionary War roll that he was billeted to quote number 4. Number 4, there's a fort number 4 in Charlestown, which is about 30 miles to the south of where I am right now. So he was there. The other Jedediah Danforth, who was from Boscawen, was in Haverhill, sometimes in those times called Lower Coos. So he was up on that side. He was north of me in Haverhill. So they were in different places during the war and during their service, and they were also in different places after the war. And the author has shown this by very carefully use of tax records. Sometimes if an individual cannot be found in the census, you can find them in the tax records. And tax records were oftentimes, in some towns they're still available, they were oftentimes taken every year on property, like even just a cow. If you owned a cow or you had to pay a poll tax, you would be on the list. So he could track the one who was hard to track in censuses through really beautiful work using tax records. Now, other reasons that there are other reasons that he can distinguish these. One is that the one from Canterbury would only have been 14 years old when the one from Boscawen married for the first time. So that doesn't seem very reasonable. And another thing is that the one from Canterbury, he almost always, he was probably illiterate. He almost always signed with an X, whereas the one from Boscawen signed his own name. So there are a lot of other reasons. And there are a lot of other interesting things about New Hampshire towns. Canterbury and Boscawen are now in Merrimack County, but Merrimack County didn't exist in Revolutionary times. So there is a lot in this, besides the beautiful genealogy separating these two distinct individuals we now know. There's a lot of interesting New Hampshire history about how town boundaries changed and county boundaries changed. So I hope you enjoyed that article. Now there's another article, which is also a really very well done article by Martin Hollick. It's a part 2 of an article that was, we first published part 1 a couple months ago. I have the family tree here. It is amazing that Martin has been able, this is the George Wallace family. The immigrant, the original immigrant was George Wallace, and he died in Portsmouth, New Hampshire in 1685. So this goes back a long way. And Martin Hollick has been able to trace. In the first issue, we showed George, the immigrant, had a son, William, and a son, George. Then William had a son named Samuel and a son named William. And you're beginning to see that they reuse the names here. So that's generation 3, the grandsons of the original immigrant. And then in this issue, we talk about the sons of the 3rd generation, that is the sons of Samuel and William, the 3rd generation people. And not unexpectedly, there's actually 2 Williams in this generation that's in this issue. And there are 2 Samuels and a George. So how this amazing genealogist was able to separate all of these individuals with similar names, and they were living in a similar place. So here again, we see interesting things as far as place names. So when the original immigrant came, he came to Portsmouth. Portsmouth was much larger at the time. His 2 sons died in Newcastle. Newcastle had been part of Portsmouth, but it had been separated off by the time they died. And similar with some of their sons, that they were probably very close to where the original immigrant went, but Portsmouth kept sectioning off different towns. So you can learn a lot about that in this issue. And if you happen to live in the area around Portsmouth, there's a wonderful 1805 map of Rye, New Hampshire, where some of these people lived and died. And it shows Wallace's sandy beach. You can see exactly where they lived and even some of the people that married in. Okay, and then the final article in this issue is written by Robert Cameron Weir, the head of our publications committee, and it's part 1 of the history of the New Hampshire genealogical record. And I'll leave it to you to look at it. I think you'll come away understanding that this genealogical record, it is a labor of love, and it has been since the beginning. It's a very amazing, actually, history. And also he includes tables of contents summarizing all of the articles that were in the early issues. There are many articles in there that I wish I had known about before, because they transcribe lots of early records, and it's all there in black and white. So, all right, happy fall. Stay in New Hampshire. I'm about to head for Vermont. We're just starting fall. I didn't want to wait any longer. That's a touch of fall there. So enjoy this issue.